Hi, I'm Kayla, the BookTube Turtle, and today I'm doing my top 10 books of 2021. So at this point, I have read 50 books this year. By the actual end of the year, it'll probably be 52. I also want to point out that I edited 28 books this year. That is so many. It's so many. And I keep track of all the information of the books I edit. And when I looked at how many words I edited this year, it was approximately 1.9 million. So yeah, we're gonna get into my top 10, which is books that are like actually published, not edited. Not that I edited because, yeah. And it is all books that I read this year, not rereads. So coming in at number 10, I just realized this is the wrong book. Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare, except the one that I grabbed off my shelf is Chain of Gold. I don't know what I was doing. Okay, I was in a rush. Anyway, Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare is the second book of the Last Hours trilogy. I had a lot of fun reading it. I had a lot of fun tabbing it. I tabbed it about like I tabbed the first one, where there's just a lot going on. And I had a lot of fun talking to my best friend about it. And it was just a good time. And I'm very excited for book 3. Number 9 is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. This is the first like graphic novel type thing I've ever read before, and I really enjoyed it. It was like really like lighthearted and just cute and fluffy. And I mean, it still had like some more serious stuff. There was a lot of like mental health stuff in there and like dealing with like depression and different things like that, eating disorders. But like overall it's just a very like lighthearted good time, and you can read them super fast, and I just really enjoyed them and had fun reading them. Number 8 on my list is Summerbird Blue by Akemi Dawn Bowman. This book got me in a way that I did not think it was going to get me, you know? Like, I was just casually reading it. I was in the mood for like a sad contemporary, and it's about this girl who recently lost her sister, and so she's staying with her aunt, I think, for the summer, and she's like, you know, grieving, like dealing with all of that. And then at a certain point in the book, there's also this whole element of her like realizing that she's aromantic and asexual, and that's the part that like really made me cry because I wasn't prepared emotionally for that, and it just kind of happened, and then I was like, oh, what? And there was a lot of it in there that I really related to, and that just made me really happy. Next, number 7 on my list is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. This book was so good. It was so good. It's been almost a year since I read it because I read it in January, so it's been a minute, but it's really good. So it's about a boy who's trans, and his family, like the men in his family, have like the ability of like summoning ghosts, and they can maybe do other stuff, but I don't remember. But everybody in his family is just like, you can't do that, you're not worthy of doing that because you were born female or whatever. But then he does summon a ghost, and then it's like, oh, okay, so that's a thing. He summons this ghost boy around his age named Julian, and I can't exactly remember if they're trying to figure out how he died. I don't exactly remember, but I remember really loving the book. That is what stuck with me. It was really good. I really need to read it again because it's been so long and I read it like really fast. Number 6 on my list is the A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab. This was my first time reading V.E. Schwab, and it did not disappoint. This trilogy was so good. It was so good. And I would definitely like to reread it at some point. I've definitely talked about this trilogy before in a wrap-up at some point in the year, probably my May wrap-up. That it's about a world where there's multiple Londons, like multiverse kind of thing, and the main character Kel can travel between them. And at the beginning, he finds a dangerous object from one of the worlds that was sealed off because of how dangerous it was. And so he has to figure out what's going on and how to get that back there without bad things happening. But yeah, I really loved the characters. The story was great. I was always just like, what's gonna happen next? And also the audiobooks for this trilogy are really good. I definitely recommend those. Number 5 is Shadow and Bone, the whole trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I had so much fun with this. I read Six of Crows like back in high school. Like, it's been a minute. I mean, I reread it this year, but I didn't put it on the list because it was a reread. Anyway, but I never read Shadow and Bone. So it was also really interesting just to kind of see the beginning and get to know the world a lot more and the Grisha a lot more. And also just, you know, to read it before the show came out, but we'll talk about that in another video. Plus, like I said, I reread Six of Crows this year, and I read it after I read Shadow and Bone, so it was really cool to like pick out the little things. It was like, oh, those are like references that I did not get the first time because I hadn't read Shadow and Bone. Yeah, and then my favorite from the trilogy is Rune and Rising. Number 4 on my list is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This book was really good, and I just like, it was in my head for weeks afterwards. Like, I don't own the book, and I need to own the book because like I just need it around so that if I need to like go reference something specific, I can. But also my phone, like Pinterest, is just like, here's a bunch of memes, and I'm like, listen, I can't reread the book right now. I got other things to read. Anyway, I really loved it. It's just really good, and just like, there is a plot, but it's not a big part of the story, honestly, compared to like character stuff. But it was just really good. It was fun. It was also sad at times. If you've read it, you know why. But yeah, I just really want to read it again, and I don't even know what to say. I just want to read it again. Number 3 is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. This book was really good. It was really, really, really good. And I'm very excited to read the sequel whenever it comes out in 2022. There's also just like so much emphasis on friendship, and I really appreciated that. And there were a lot of like twists and turns. And I guess some of them I was just like, whoa, I did not see that coming. But yeah, I just had a really good time reading it. Okay, we are getting down to it. Number 2 on my list is The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. I thought this was going to be my number 1 until my number 1 came along. Because I read this just like a few weeks ago at the beginning of December. Good. I keep saying that about everything. We're gonna have to do a how many times I say this was so good counter, like I did back in like 2019 or 2018. But in this book, it is a standalone, which is really cool, and witches' powers are connected to the seasons of the year. So some of them are summers or autumns or winter, spring, you know, and their powers are strongest in their season. But the main character, Claire, is an Ever, and she is able to possess the power of all of the seasons. Also, the human population is aware of witches, and they've kind of been abusing the power that witches have to do things that benefit the humans. And it's really messed up the world, and the weather and the atmosphere. Everything is kind of a wreck because the powers have been used in not a good and balanced way. So Claire, or Clara, is her name Clara? Clara, I think I've been calling her Claire, I'm sorry. Clara has to undergo like special training because of her being an Ever. All these people think that like, oh, you're gonna be the one to like fix the world, and she's just like, I don't want this, because her powers previous to the book killed her best friend. And so she's like really scared of her magic and doesn't want to use it, doesn't want to be around other people because she sees it more as a curse, that it's gonna lash out and hurt the people that she loves. So yeah, it was really good. It was a really unique take on like witches and magic and all of that stuff, and I really enjoyed it. And also, like, look at this cover. It is absolutely beautiful. And then look at what it looks like without the cover. Look how pretty that is. It's so pretty. It just makes me so happy because it's so pretty, but like the book itself is also really good. And now for our number one. It is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I cannot believe I hadn't read this until now. Like, this series, I'm almost done with book 2. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And I mean, book 1 was a little slow at first, but then I really got into it and I was just like, I love these characters. I love the main character and all of her like planning and scheming and all of that is really good. And then when I got to book 2, we just like jump right in and it's just a good time. And yeah, I already know that, like, I haven't finished the trilogy yet, but I know that it's gonna be like one of my favorite series just in general. And I'm already like excited to read it again, and I'm not even done reading it the first time, but I'm already just like I'm excited. Also just because I know that I'm gonna catch things with the reread now that I know what's actually going on, you know? This was kind of a messy video, and I don't know what I've been saying half the time other than I love this book so much. So yeah, that was my top 10 books for 2021. Yeah, let me know what some of your favorite books of the year were. Do we have any of the same books? And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.